Going live in 3, 2, 1, and hey, looks like we're live. I think, yeah, looks like we're live. Great. Thanks for checking out my video. So in this video, I've finally gotten my invite into the DALL-E 2 program. Unfortunately, fortunately, there's now this new beta program, which I'll get into, that's kind of made it a bit more open, but a tiny bit more limited than where it would have been had I gotten an invite a little sooner. But hey, beggars can't be choosers kind of thing, and it's pretty cool, and I wanted to show it. I mean, if you can see from the thumbnail, the art that's in that thumbnail is stuff that I've created, and I'd like to go through some of it, and then I've got 7 credits left, and I've got 7 ideas, so I figured we can kind of go through it, and I'll just generate them, and we'll take a peek at them. Yeah, so let's just jump into it, basically. So this is DALL-E 2's website. I'll also post all these links to these things in the comments, in the description for the video. But as you can see here, it's made a lot of cool things. I've been kind of looking at different examples and deciding how I was going to make some of these things. And then, as I mentioned here, now they've got this available beta program. This is quite recent, where they've sent out 1,000,000 invites to people that were on the wait list. I guess that means there's already 1,000,000 people on the wait list. I'm not sure. And they've got kind of a monetization system now where you can do this. This is not sponsored, by the way, in any way. It's just me getting it myself to have fun with it, by the way. And disclaimer, that kind of thing. Yeah, so it's like this 115 generations. I think that means like when you do one prompt or request, you get 4. And I think if you do a variation, you get another 3. So I think these all count in these 115. It's a little bit different than the way that I've been given it with the setup that I got. As you can see here where it mentions, it talks about how I got this is what I got. 50 free credits. I didn't realize this, to be honest, actually, because I was familiar with the previous person who got an invite, where they had been getting more credits almost daily, I believe it was. But it turns out I just get them once a month. So I've kind of already burnt through presumably 43 of them, I guess, if I only have 7 left, including variations, I guess. And then after that, I think August 23rd or 24th, I'm going to get another 15. And hopefully every month I'll at least get 15. And if people like this video and if I get some cool ideas, I'm definitely going to generate 15 every month. And who knows if there's other programs, other ways out there to make more, and I might do that. So yeah, that's the gist of that. We won't get too much into that. Just to explain quickly what DALL-E 2 is. I mean, it says it right here. It's a new AI system that can create realistic images and art from a description in natural language. So that's essentially what we're dealing with here. It's not a gimmick or anything. This is the wait list if you want to get on it. I'm not sure if they've already given out all the 1,000,000 and if you got to wait still, but I'd say it's worth trying. It's pretty cool. We're going to check it out. In regards to this video, I kind of looked through their sharing and publication policy and live streaming, and it seemed like it was okay. The one thing that I thought was a caveat that I'll try to remember and we'll keep an eye on is the manually reviewing each generation before sharing it while streaming. So that seems reasonable. When I do these 7 generations that I've never done before, essentially we're all going to see brand new images. But I'll remember to put the camera just to me. I'll generate it, and then I'll put it back, and I'll go, ooh, and then you guys can wait a second to see what it'll be. But other than that, it seemed like it was okay to share it and stuff. I definitely am not trying to make money off of this. I mean, it's cool if people want to subscribe to my channel and stuff, like it, that kind of thing. But that's up to you, and I'm just making this for fun. You know, as I was trying to think where to post this online, there's not a ton of places online, so it's pretty niche, and it's just something that I find interesting. That being said, here's the interface. And yeah, if we see here on the way that it works, basically, there's this little hidden thing here. You click that to see your recent ones. And maybe I'll move my window here because it's right in the way. Oh, I didn't want to just turn me off. Let's put me over here. Oof, now I'm over there. Okay. Now, I'm always covering stuff no matter what. Let's put me there. That's a good spot for me. Okay, so yeah, back to this recent list here. On the right here, these are all the generations I've done. And I'm interested in talking to you guys about them, guys and girls and whatever. So let's just get into that, honestly, because I don't want to do the generation just yet. These are pretty cool too, but if you click these, I think these count as generations, clicking these suggestions. So, I mean, in a way, it's interesting too, because when you see this art, it's like, if you click it, you're not going to get that art. You're going to get something else that's unique. So that's kind of a cool idea. But I haven't played with this yet, to be honest. When I thought I had a heck of a lot more credits and I thought I'd get more tomorrow, I kind of just went through a bunch. You can see here I have 7 left. I'll get 15 more August 24th. But let's go and see what I tried. So here's the first one. This was, again, now I'm in the way of the prompt. I gotta move myself again. Let's put me where I should just be over here and maybe like even smaller. There, we'll put me as small. I mean, I'm not completely irrelevant, but let's just let's focus on the art, right? So the weirdest place to put me, I'm just like in the way, but actually let's put me on the top right. That's a little less weird, but yeah, it's all the same. Okay, I'm done with that. This first one here was The Little Prince, if you people know the book. It looks like DALL-E does not know this too much, and I also tried to do it in Chile. It looks like the landscapes look Chilean. This perhaps is like a Little Prince style guy, but I didn't take this one any further. Let's try what the next one is. There's somewhere I kind of went further with him. Here's one where it started making words. I was working on an article about fast websites, and I was trying to think like what would be a cool picture or clip art for that. I put a website going faster than a jet, and I don't think it really got it. This is too something that I've heard about it where it's really bad at words or making sense of the letters. But even beyond that, it just really didn't hit the mark there. Next one up. What is this? Oh, wait. This is jumping ahead. Let's not jump ahead. This little section here, I find the entire website's a little choppy. I'm not sure why. That's kind of weird, but sometimes it's slow or all the thumbnails will group together. So this was the third generation I did. This is something I also did when I tried it on my friends. I don't know why. At one point I had ideas. I kept thinking frogs and ducks. We're going to do a duck today, actually, but in general, I'm not sure why I was just thinking frogs and ducks in a lot of my early DALL-E generation stuff. So this one here is a duck fighting a frog. And this is my first attempt, too, to add these little markers that are supposed to help you. In regards to these typing here, actually, this is a new... I'm not sure how new this is, and I don't know a ton about AI, but there's this concept called prompt engineering, where the prompt is kind of the text or the information you give to the AI, and there's a way to engineer this or kind of word it in a certain way to get different results that you want. And one of these, I think, is these kind of little markers or these additions, like saying digital art, and so you want it in a certain style. And I definitely try a lot more of that, then I do get better results, so I'll show you as I get better results too. These, I didn't really think of one was too nice. Yeah, I don't know what I was expecting with a duck fighting a frog. I guess that's another thing too, is like, when you're spoiled for choice, you almost, just duck fighting a frog, you know? It's like, do I even want that? So I had to kind of go back and think and look at some of the other things it's done to go, well, what's it good at? So I can get something good out of this. So that's when I decided to try to make some like Snoopies, if you know the Snoopy character. It was good at making beagles, which is okay, cool, because I actually have a beagle dog, so I do make some more beagle images down the road here. But I was hoping it would be more Snoopy-esque, and I don't remember Snoopy looking quite like this. That being said, it made some really cool images, and I think this is one of the first ones where I was like, oh wow, this is pretty cool. Such as this one right here. What was the prompt I did? Snoopy in the style of Vincent van Gogh. This is another one where I also started doing artistic styles. And I think, yeah, it did pretty interesting ones, and this one I felt was the best of those bunch. And a cool thing is, too, when you click these, is you're able to do variations where it'll create another 3. We're not going to do perhaps we'll do a variation on one of the new ones we're going to make, but I don't want to waste another variation on the ones I've already made. And you can also share it with the prompt. It does a very nice little sharing URL that it gives you that you can pass around. Here's another one I did. Snoopy in the style of Picasso. This is, I think, in the thumbnail. I thought this was kind of a nice one. I don't know how Picasso-esque it is, but there's something Picasso about it, and I felt it was a nice use of color and shape. It's interesting. The eyes is kind of like weird. This is another thing that gets really interesting, and from content I've seen with DALL-E is I just always get thinking, like, how did it make any of these decisions? There's nothing like any of these pictures exactly. So how did it pick those eyes, those colors, those shapes, and... it's one of those things with AI where it's almost harder to explain how it happened than to make it happen, I think. Here's another one, a robot making a fast website, where I was trying to do one for my website article. Again, it wasn't great, but this is where we see that clip art's kind of getting interesting. This is another point where it was like people that make clip art or certain graphics for a living. I don't think they're out of a job, but I think they're going to want to be able to use something like this. Like, this is like Photoshop +++ or something like that, where essentially you just like have an idea. I mean, your client, you could just record the phone call and then just start pasting sentences and just see what happens here and build something, do variations on it. And it's something I'm not going to try with DALL-E today because I don't have a lot of information about it or knowledge. But maybe next month there's an idea where you can kind of clip pieces too. So once you've made an image, not only can you do a variation, but you can just say, I want this piece to actually be him holding a flashlight or something like that. So that's another interesting thing. This is one I thought was really nice. Snoopy looking at the sky in the style of Claude Monet. This is, again, where I've started trying to learn from it. So not only did I do the style, but I also was specific to say that he's looking in the sky. And I think that helped as well. This one I thought was nice. This one made a few nice ones. I also thought this one was kind of nice. although the blue is a little bit brighter than I think most people would pick. But who knows, to be honest. I mean, yeah, that's kind of subjective. These were a little bit of fails. A hacker working on the future of the internet. I don't know what I was expecting here. There is something interesting about the text that it makes. Like, I guess this isn't really any specific language, and there's no specific person that really, like, this person doesn't exist. None of these people exist. But it is interesting, these signs that it made. You could definitely see these being cool movie posters or album art covers. I mean, there's so many of these I made that were like, that could be album art covers. Here's one where my friend suggested I do Pac-Man. Or he sent me a picture of this ghost light from Pac-Man. He said, like, go try this. It did not work well. I would say either DALL-E doesn't know about Pac-Man, or it tried. I'm not really sure what it tried to do here, but it missed the mark. You know, I didn't give it the best description either. I didn't use any of the tricks like the digital art or anything like that. Here's another interesting one. What's this one? A computer running faster than the speed of light. Yeah, that was another miss. Here's where my friend wanted me to try a few with our current Canadian Prime Minister doing some silly stuff. The leader of Canada acting silly. This is just people acting silly. Interestingly enough, I tried ones that, I wouldn't say it was harsher words, but I used the I word, idiot. I said acting like an idiot. Oh. And it didn't even let me type that. So it's like, okay, whatever, that's fine. But I wasn't trying to be like insulting. Like, I just wanted him being like silly, I guess. But it didn't like that word. Here's another one, the leader with a bad haircut. Yeah, our prime minister currently has a bit of a bad haircut, and I thought maybe it would do an interesting one, but it doesn't really know who our prime minister is, and I just put the leader of Canada. This was another one where I tried to do it with Vincent van Gogh style for basically the same previous prompt. This is where it really started missing the mark, and it's like, okay, I gotta go back and think of some other stuff. But on the same note, I kept trying to make things for my article. The fastest website in the world was another one I tried. They're interesting. I mean, these look like how clip art looked 15 years ago, but the words are too gibberishy. They almost like freak me out. Speaking of freaking out and odd images, there's some coming up like that. These pixel art ones are pretty cool. Lightning riding a cheetah pixel art. I don't know what I was expecting there. Yeah, like a cheetah with like a lightning bolt on it or something. I need to be more descriptive, but I think it didn't do too bad here, honestly. This one was kind of neat. A cheetah surfing the web. I thought it did a pretty good job with that one, as far as that's kind of what I was expecting it to be. I didn't think it would look quite so goofy and clip arty, but hey, it's not so bad. These ones, the realistic ones, are a little too odd, I would say. And it's got some kind of weird artifacts here. I don't know what that's supposed to be, but that's another one of those creepy things when you see things like that. Here's some other creepy ones here. A wizard with lightning coming from his hands into a computer. I thought whenever it tries to do faces, I've found it's kind of missed the mark, at least when they try to be realistic. So you almost always have to be like, how can I make this artistic? So I didn't like that one at all. Here's when I went to pixel art with it. Merlin working on a computer. It knew Merlin was a wizard, it looks like. And I liked these quite a bit. I think I did a variation on this first one here. And you can see we get some different variations. This one, I like his hair. I guess it's supposed to be a hat. I think it got confused if he just had cool hair or a hat. In the other one, I think it was very obvious it was a hat. But I guess this one, his hair, maybe that's why Merlin has a hat like that, is because he's got wild hair. And I guess the computer knew. So those were two of my pixel art ones. That was the variation. Here's one. These are kind of cool, these 3D renders. 3D render of a wizard on a computer. It's just kind of cool that it can do a 3D render of who knows what, maybe anything. And some of these are not bad. I mean, I would be okay to use that on my website, you know. But again, it's still a little uncanny valley. I mean, something's going on with his face and the glasses. It's not somebody didn't take time and like polish it, you know. That being said, that's where the art style is important, because some art styles don't require polish. A Van Gogh style of a wizard. This was kind of a neat one. This is, I think, on my page as well, on my thumbnail. Sorry for this video. That I thought was a really cool one. That's like that's just interesting art right there. I might have to share that one as like a DALL-E generation. It's hard to take any credit for these. Like, I typed like 7 words. 2 of the words are like the name of a famous person that has nothing to do with me. But so it's hard to take any credit for these, but you want to share them and be like, look what I was able to make, even though it happened to be trivial how I made it. Here's another cool one too. Again, I don't like that when it's too bright of a blue, or it almost looks like neon here. That doesn't look like it was an oil painting. Whereas this one, it's almost, okay, yeah, that's an oil painting. Or it was someone made that, it looks more like. Here's where it gets some uncanny valley one. I tried making my family. I put a wife and a husband with their 2 daughters and a beagle enjoying a beautiful sunset in the style of Van Gogh. And we're gonna see like the next 10 of them are my attempts to kind of get that better, and never really got there. But it is kind of interesting, some of them here. At first it was like, hey, this person doesn't have my hairstyle, if you know what I mean. So I thought I would add a bald husband, and my wife's got dark long hair with their 2 daughters and beagle. And again, some interesting ones. I put here style of Baroque. I don't know why I decided to put that, but just as an interesting one. It definitely got a little more religious looking. But these are pretty cool. I mean, this is fun. It always seemed to give me 2 dogs, even though I just had 1 dog and 2 daughters. It seemed to prefer giving me 2 dogs over 2 daughters, but that's fine. What are some other cool ones here? But what did I change here? A bald husband and his dark wife. Oh yeah, I just gave the ages of my daughters, and I tried with it expressionism. I don't think it did very good with expressionism here, but again, these are very interesting. I thought some of these were cool, and it doesn't. It's like, even though I gave it that prompt, this could be a great photo for some other family, or just some people that think that's a cool photo. It's interesting that the clothing style choices as well. I wonder if it's trying to infer from the way that I typed it. It's like, this is like how it's written in a story where people wore this clothes, or it's almost impossible to understand how it kind of went backwards. Here's some uncanny valley in the face. I just put looking in the distance. I got rid of the art styles, and I guess it decided to go more realistic, but obviously not realistic enough. These are all pretty scary. I'm almost scared to click in too deep to them just because they're so uncanny. These ones are not so worrisome. This is Neo-Impressionism. I thought that was a really nice one, actually. Again, I got 2 dogs there. I lost a daughter, looks like. Here I got the right amount of family, but I don't really look like that, I don't think, hopefully. My hands are a little less wacky, too. My wife's actually similar to that, though. That's pretty close. This is where you could go in and you can click variations and stuff, too, which can be fun. How many more we got here? Let's keep going through these. What is this one? Van Gogh style with my family. That one I thought was a cool one. Another Van Gogh style one. I tried a few variations in the park. So many with my family here. I'm trying to see if any really hit the mark. Not so much. That one was an interesting one. What style was this? Picasso style. Kind of more of a child's painting, but it is kind of Picasso-ish as well, which is kind of cool. These ones I thought were nice. This is Impressionist again. Something about the Impressionist style I guess DALL-E fits better with, because it's not going for those details, and you kind of get that blurriness that's okay in an Impressionist style, perhaps. And there's probably a lot like that, actually, of these styles. This one, this was where I picked this one as my favorite one of those bunch for my family. And then I moved on to some that I kind of found on the internet, some other suggestions. One of the suggestions was this A Genius Girl Inventing the Time Machine by Norman Rockwell. This is where I thought it was cool, because there's actually another version of this that someone else made. It's the exact same prompt, and essentially the images are different. So I thought that was kind of amazing. It's not like you're going to get, here's DALL-E's version of that. It's like, no, that's just the version that one person got with one search, essentially. And you could make another infinite amount of variations, perhaps. I think this was the one I thought was the most interesting from that. There's just so much detail. If you dig into it, it's a little weird, the detail. It's like, oh, there's a book, and there's what is that? It's a plane eating another book? I don't know. I guess she's got a radio there. She's making some machine. Oh yeah, she's making a time machine, I guess. Some of these make more sense. That one looks like radio, but I guess that's got a clock at least. Looks like DALL-E didn't quite understand how the clock works. What's the next one here? Oh, here's where my wife suggested doing Stranger Things. It definitely doesn't know about the show Stranger Things, but it's great at giving you strange things. This is some nightmare fuel if anyone's interested in one there, but I tried not to go too far into that one. Then I started taking a few descriptions of like summaries of the show Stranger Things. A group of young friends witnessed supernatural forces in a town in Indiana in the 1980s. Interesting which friends had picked. That almost could be like a Stranger Things. There's like the Dustin guy, like has the same name as me. What about this one? This I actually thought was interesting. This is where I copied like the entire summary. It's a bit longer. I don't know what it says, but it's just the summary of Stranger Things from like Wikipedia or from the Google summary, and it kind of created these book covers. But they're interesting. I mean, you'd almost at a distance wonder if they're familiar, or you've seen them in a book on a bookshelf before. This one's kind of interesting. Also, the people it picked. I almost wondered, like, does it know about Stranger Things? Because some of these characters look like they could be people out of Stranger Things, or they're wearing clothes from Stranger Things. So that I wasn't sure about. Here's where I tried to do, like, I thought, oh, maybe I can make a cool picture that looks like my daughter doing something fun. But it didn't really get the Norman Rockwell style here too much. And again, it kind of dived into the uncanny valley. I tried another Norman Rockwell one. I think the girl is slightly Norman Rockwell-ish. And this one could be, if it was a little more artistic, it's pretty interesting. I mean, especially if you consider that none of these people exist or anything. These ones again are far too uncanny valley. Here's where I thought it was cool. My dad was talking to me about starships, and I thought, oh, I'll try a warp drive engine, and I'll do a 3D render. And these ones I kind of thought was cool. I mean, just the idea of like, what could it possibly imagine is going on here? And obviously, it's probably not thinking too deeply about this. It's based on some kind of electronics it's seen or engines or who knows. Again, yeah, it's really interesting to think about, but. And it's also interesting, too, that from a distance, I thought it was more detailed. I thought this made more sense. But when you zoom in, you kind of see that, oh, there isn't the detail's not really there, or it's been done in a way to almost trick my mind to being like, that's good enough. On that note, I did a variation of that one, which we got some more looking like that, which I thought were really cool. And then finally, I did a Van Gogh one of that, which also was kind of neat in its own way. And yeah, there we've gone through essentially my 43 requests. And now I'd like to do those other 7 with everybody here. So I'm going to make my picture a tiny bit bigger for no particular reason. I guess maybe I'll just make it so you can still see the generate button anyways. I could probably put myself down here and put myself big again. I just want to be big. I want to be important in my video. I don't know why, but the art's what matters. So maybe I shouldn't be. And I'm joking anyways, by the way. Let's get to the first one. So we've been doing art styles. I thought what would be a cool one is an alien spacecraft in the night sky in the style of Van Gogh. Why don't we check it out? Let's try it. So now, as I remember, okay, as we're doing this too, I've actually got links to the thing so we can kind of do it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to press generate, and then we're going to look into the Van Gogh stuff. And wait, does that work? Let's first. People that don't know who Van Gogh is. This is the Van Gogh style anyways. I had the link open. Something like this would be cool. I would like, if I'm imagining what it would look like, here's a field like there. Like that'd be cool if there was like a big spaceship here or who's to say? Did he do the Starry Night? I think he did. Although if he did, why don't they put it here? There we go. Yeah, Starry Night. I mean, an alien ship right here in the Starry Night. That would be great. I'm not going to put Starry Night in the prompt. I want to give DALL-E a little bit of leeway. So what we're going to do, I'll press generate, and you get to see what the generate prompt animation looks like. Then I'm going to jump to my video, and I'll take a peek at it just to make sure it's safe to be showing here, because that's one of their policies, and I'd like to follow it. So let's give it a shot. I'm going to press generate. As you can see, it does that little generating of thing. We'll move over to the camera here. And then, yeah, I'm just going to tell you like how long it takes. Typically, what I've seen is it takes less than 30 seconds, which I thought was pretty cool. Also, I'll take this time to note that please feel free to throw some comments, and if you have a suggestion to any of my future prompts that I'm about to do the next 6 before I press generate, feel free to give them a tweak if you have any ideas. Okay, so let's take a look. I'm not oohing and ahhing here, but this is what the first one looks like. Okay, so that was a 1 credit down. What does everybody think of that? I don't know. This one here isn't so bad. That's kind of cool. I guess, you know, if I were to be more descriptive next month, maybe I will specify Starry Night. Maybe I'll specify more of a landscape and the ships in the distance. Here it's a little too close, I guess. Perhaps that would be good if I wanted a close-up, and I didn't specify. I almost made it to say, like, the picture is about this, but I want it to be like the Starry Night with a spacecraft in it. So I need to do better prompt engineering. As far as stylistic goes, I would say only the second one really kind of makes me think, okay, that's possible. These other ones don't really look like paintings to me so much. Okay, let's take a look at the next one here. So the next one I was thinking, a mad scientist building a time machine, and then I also add vaporwave, sorry. So two things with this. The mad scientist is something I've seen in some of this other YouTubers' channels. 2-minute papers, where he's done like 3 or 4 or 5 videos about DALL-E. And in some of them, they've done mad scientist. I've seen on Twitter, there's been some mad scientist ones. So I'm hoping DALL-E can do some cool mad scientists for me. As far as vaporwave, this is what vaporwave is. I saw there were some examples where it had did some decent vaporwave. I don't know much about vaporwave. I don't know the history of it, but I like the look, the purples, the colors, and I'm interested to see what it's going to create. So let's try that. A mad scientist building a time machine, vaporwave. Press generate. We'll jump over to here. I'm going to take a Coke Zero break. Oh, very delicious. Some of the suggestions it gives as it's loading are quite cool. All right, again, I'm not blown away, but let's take a peek at it. So here's what we get. It definitely understood vaporwave, I think, based on the styling. A mad scientist building a time machine. I've seen better time machines in my days. I mean, the DeLorean, for example. But if I had to pick my favorite, I guess it's this. I guess the machine itself at least has some interesting to it. Looks like it's in a bathtub or something. And the mad scientist doesn't seem too interested in the machine. Maybe it's not working. Who knows? They're all quite interesting, actually. I mean, this is where I wish I had infinite money or infinite DALL-E credits, because I have a million ideas. I want to press the variation button 100 times. I want to tweak this, but I need to move on. I have a bunch of other variation ideas, and I feel like it missed the mark, but I can see some of what it's going for. This is where I thought it would be cool if, let's say, as a person working in art or clip art, you have a client who comes to you and gives and says, I mean, if they're paying you $100 an hour or something, I think for $100 you can generate a lot of DALL-E images. So I mean, I don't know what the financing is on it, but let's say you do 1,000 variations, you're gonna probably have something pretty interesting at the end if you start with an idea and you can follow those variations all the way along and just keep tweaking and doing that little cropping technique. I can't even imagine, but I mean, if the OpenAI people want to give me unlimited, should be able to experiment with these ideas, that'd be great. But I'm not asking. I'm just saying that that'd be interesting if that occurred. That's all. Here's the next one that I thought was kind of neat. A robot army in the style of Hieronymus Bosch. Who is this character? He's someone who has some art that I've saw is interesting. I think there is a DALL-E example of art being done in his style, this wacky Garden of Earthly Delights. But my understanding is it's using that same cropping technique where he sent the person, whoever made it, made a very large image and then had to crop all these to get DALL-E to work and make a big image. It's not going to just, you can't just say, well, make me an image that has 50 different prompts in it, and then you get 50 images for free. That'd be kind of neat, but it doesn't seem to be able to do that exactly. So I still wanted to see what kind of style I would get from just one request. And I thought that this guy is kind of a person who does a lot of little people or things. So I thought, okay, well, let's make it an army of things, and let's make it a robot army. All right? So let's try that. We do generate. I'll jump over here. I'm going to have another Coke Zero break because I'm thirsty, actually, because of all the talking. Oh, delicious. So smooth. It's almost as good as just the original Coke. Okay, this is cool. Ooh. All right, let's take a peek. These are neat. These are kind of neat. This one's hard to see, this one at the end, but I actually like this one. Let's take a peek at this one. That's cool. What did I even type again? A robot army in the style of Hieronymus Bosch. I don't know if they got the style, perhaps. I mean, I don't think this guy knew about robots or drew robots, so it's hard to say. But there's definitely something going on here. I like the army aspect. Oh, this is a cool one. Yeah, that one I like. Those robots are wacky. I like the wacky style anyways, so I think that I'll probably do more in the future of these from this style. That's another really interesting one. Yeah, these last three are interesting. I like this. Like, why did it decide to pick red, green, and blue robots? And what's that background? Where are they? What planet are they on? Same with this background. Another interesting one. So that's a cool one. There's our first success, I would say. Let's try to have another success. So this is something where I saw an example of DALL-E 2 where it did a cyber toad, it was called. And I thought, I'm going to try to do a cybernetic goat in the digital art style and see if I can get something like that cyber toad. I don't, on the note of the digital art style, I see a lot of digital art added to some of the prompts. I just have a Wikipedia article about it here. As far as what digital art is, I mean, what isn't it? Digital art can either be understood as an artistic work or practice that uses digital technology. Okay, so, I mean, already DALL-E is completely digital art, no matter what you make. So it's interesting to ask it to make digital art, but let's give it a shot. Generate. Oh, get back to the camera, don't show it. Their examples are kind of neat. An astronaut lounging in a tropical resort in space, pixel art. That one, it got really good. The pixel art ones are actually not so bad. They seem reasonable because it's just like little blocks. Oh wow. Okay, this is another one here. Okay, so here's our cybernetic goats. This one is trippy. That's a wacky cybernetic goat. That's scary. I like it. That's a nice one. I actually like this little signature it puts at the bottom right. I don't see how it needs this. I don't know if it's necessary. I don't know if you're not supposed to remove it. I want to keep it. I think it's pretty cool actually. For how simple it is. And yeah, these Cybernetic Goat ones are pretty awesome. That one's another cool one. I mean, just the cybernetic style, it seems to be able to do decent. Maybe I should have put neon cybernetic. This is kind of neon, but I was hoping for green, I guess. Blue is nice. Okay, that's another win in my book. I don't know if sometimes it's like the first searches are bad. I don't know what that is. I gotta warm up or something. Probably not, but I thought it was kind of neat. So let's get rid of that digital bookmark here. Here's another one. A transparent sculpture of a duck made out of glass sitting on a table in an empty room. There's a story behind this one too. This gets into this other tool called Imagen, which is essentially Google's version of DALL-E. And they've got their own version of they've made stuff. Here's that example right there of the one I was talking about. And basically the idea behind that is I like ducks anyways. And Imagen is like the DALL-E version. And they show that, hey, look at the duck they made. So I thought, okay, I'm going to use the exact same prompt as their example. But I'm going to put it in a different room. And I'm just going to see what kind of ducks DALL-E 2 can make. So let's try that. I'll press generate. Jump over to the camera. Take a peek at the views and live streams. See if people are having a good time. Looks like it for the most part, yeah. Another suggestion it gives here. Panda mad scientist mixing sparkling chemicals, digital art. A lot of the suggestions here are very similar to what I type. Well, these are kind of cool. This is basically what I requested, so let's take a peek at it. So yeah, this is it. A transparent sculpture of a duck made out of glass sitting on a table in an empty room. Yeah, that's what that is. I think I remember seeing in the 2-minute papers with a person much smarter than me talking about just how interesting it is, these reflections it does. That it just intuitively does essentially these light stylings that are essentially complicated, but it's able to do it. I mean, is what it's doing complicated? I don't know. It's almost bypassing the complexity of figuring it out one way and somehow figuring it out another way that we can't really reverse engineer perhaps. Here's another one that's not bad. At the bottom of it's a little weird, but the glass structure very nice. This one's pretty cool as well. I think I probably should have made the background more interesting. Maybe again, yeah, especially with the glass and the reflectiveness, I should have really gone further with what was in the background, and maybe that would have been a bit more wild. Anyways, for next time on that one, because I want to move on to the next one, which is a brain riding a rocket ship in the style of Salvador Dali. Okay, that's interesting. Why does it complain about rocket ship? It wants my rocket ship to be rocket spaceship. I can do that. Sure. Yeah, let's do that. If that's what Google suggests, this is, I believe them. So again, a brain riding a rocket ship in the style of Salvador Dali. Now, why did I pick this? I believe this was another Imagen one where I saw a rocket ship and a brain, and I thought that was cool, but I wanted to do my own style of it. And again, this is where I thought, oh, let's try to see DALL-E's version, because I saw an Imagen version, but I didn't see the DALL-E version of them trying to have a brain riding a rocket. So let's press generate. I have 2 credits left. Soon to have just 1. And the one that I have, yeah, well, we'll get to that one in a second. Let's take a look at this brain riding rocket first. Just making sure it's presentable for everybody before I show it. Oh yeah, it's absolutely not what I expected. It's the reverse of what I expected. So, yeah, I believe the Imagen one had the brain on top of the rocket, and I think from a brain riding a rocket, you would get that. But to me, it looks like the rocket is riding the brain in most of these pictures. That being said, it's not the worst rocket in the world. This one's an interesting style. This looks like some kind of Monty Python thing or something. That one too is kind of cool. I like the artistic style of it. It's cool. Maybe you could say that this is like I have rockets on the mind, you know? Like, oh, I'm thinking about rockets. For that, it's a cool image, you know? So that's a cool one. And then finally, what do we have here? Oh, did I even mention that it was supposed to be the Salvador Dali style? I don't think I really touched on that, but yeah, that's kind of a clever one because I'm pretty sure the name DALL-E is supposed to be coming from doing like Salvador Dali's style or art, just art. I could be completely wrong on that, but it just happens to coincide then, one way or the other. But he also is another person that has very interesting art, the melting clock, that kind of thing. And then finally, what I want to do is one that I've seen one already. I don't know if the prompt was exactly the same, but there was one called a robot hand drawing. And it was like a robot hand, and it was drawing a hand of a robot. And I thought it looked interesting, and I even just thought, like, it was the prompt that simple to create something so interesting? So for that reason, and for my last credit, I decided to do the exact same text that I saw somewhere else and see what kind of other interesting results I can get from it. So let's try this last one. Press generate. I'll go back to the camera, do my final Coke swig before we check out the picture. Oh, still smooth. And it's almost generated. Oh man, this is not at all what I was hoping, but let's take a peek at it anyways. And yeah, that is not nearly as artistic, and I question whether the prompt that the person used was anywhere as simplistic as the one I've used. I also see this unfortunate. You've used all your credits. 15 free credits will be basically next month, so I'll make another video next month perhaps if I get some cool comments about some other suggestions. Let's give this a chance here. Let's take a peek at this. I like that it drew an arm again. A robot hand drawing, right. I don't see any of them really doing the act of drawing. Maybe it considered it as a drawing. Maybe I should have been more specific that it's the action of drawing. This one's not so bad. This one's cool as well. So, yeah. I think that's it for the example. Thanks for checking out my video. If you like this video, please throw me a like. If you want to see more like this, subscribe and keep track of it. I'll have another 15 credits next month, and I'll do another video. Please throw some comments or suggestions if you have any ideas for what I should do for the next ones. And thanks. See you in the next one. Bye.